Welcome to the Healing Her Story podcast, a podcast where we reclaim our stories, reconnect with our bodies, and remember the wisdom we were never taught and yet always carried. I'm your host, Riva Jean-Paul, a trauma-informed somatic practitioner, menstrual cycle coach, interdisciplinary artist, and guide for women walking the path of healing, awakening, and becoming. This show is for the woman who's tired of holding it all together, for the one who's done the talk therapy, read the books, and tried to meditate her way through the pain, and is now ready to go deeper. We live in a world that asks so much of women, a world that rewards our silence, praises our productivity, and shames our sensitivity. The systems we've been raised in were not built for our bodies, our rhythms, or our truth. But here, we do things differently. Together, we explore the cycles of the natural world and the menstrual cycle, the medicine of somatics, the power of creative expression, and the radical act of slowing down. Each episode is a journey through personal reflections, seasonal rhythms, expert conversations, and the deeper layers of what it means to heal from the inside out. Because healing isn't about fixing what's broken, because I do not believe you are broken. It's about remembering who you are and reconnecting with the wisdom and the healing intelligence that lives inside of you. I am so glad you are here. Let's begin. Fighting for the voice of the womb, diving to the depths of my womb, singing the truth of my womb, trusting the phases of the moon. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Healing Her Story podcast. Today we are gathering for our weekly Cycle Sync episode, where we tune into the powers of the feminine and also the powers of the moon and of the seasons. And we begin to learn how to work with the natural rhythms and cycles, both of our bodies and of the natural world. And I believe that when you are doing this, you are doing so much more than just cycle syncing. You are taking back, you are reclaiming a part of you that society has tried to condition out of us. A part of you that is true, a part of you that is authentic. A part of you that is wise and wondrous and connected to the infinite well of wisdom and intelligence that is channeled through your body and through your biology and through the world all around us. As you do that, I believe that you create this ripple effect that goes out into your relationships, into your home, into your family, into your community, and into your workplace. And as we do that, we begin to bring more harmony and more sustainability to our fast-paced and patriarchal world that has tried to condition us that we are not what we are, that we are linear, that we are constantly needing to produce and perform and to be something that we are not. And as you do this with each day and with each step that you take, you really honor and do something so healing and so powerful for all of the women that have come before you and all of those who have yet to come. So thank you so much for being here and for tuning in. Before we begin attuning to this week's energy, I want to invite us into a minute of silence. And this is how we begin our weekly cycle check-ins here every week on the show. And my intention with this is to create a even small, teeny tiny pocket of time out of your presumably very full and busy life to just be with yourself. And to notice how you're feeling. Notice how your body is feeling. Notice how your mind is feeling. Notice how your spirit is feeling. And as you begin to sense and to tune in to what is here, you can begin to really honor that. And perhaps maybe it will align with the rhythms and cycles that we'll be talking about today. Perhaps not, and that's okay. And so whether you are driving or doing chores or getting ready for your day, just taking a minute here to come into a state of more presence, whatever that looks like for you today. And as you tune in, maybe noticing where you might be in your unique and creative rhythm. And we'll meet here in a minute. That was about a minute. That went by so fast today. I was like, was that really a minute? But it was. So here we are, checking in. And I'll share a little bit about where I'm at in my cycle. I am cycle day 22. That means I am in my pre-menstruum time, and I'm getting ready to go on a little vacation and take some much needed time to rest and restore after a very busy summer that required a lot of energetic and creative output. I'm finally on the other side of the summer camp program where I had the honor to be one of the managers for this year. And as I've shared, it's been very fulfilling and just been so immersed in creativity all day, every day. It's been incredible. And I'm also noticing my right eye twitching a little bit today. And that's something that lets me know that I'm reaching my limit. I'm reaching my capacity. And I am quite familiar with this message from the body. It's something that I never used to understand. And as I've begun to practice more somatics, it's become more clear on what this means. And so I do my best to listen and to tune in. I've got a relatively light day today and tomorrow. And then Wednesday, I'll be heading out of town and I'll be completely unplugged. I'll be immersed in nature. I'll be with a dear friend and sister of mine. So I anticipate that I'll be getting the nourishment and the rest and the restoration that my body is really craving. So I'm really looking forward to that. Otherwise, been doing quite well physically and mentally and emotionally. I'm feeling like I'm at a really great point in my healing journey where it feels like everything that I've been doing is really starting to pay off, and that always feels really good. And it's right on cue, right on time with this full moon that we just passed through over the weekend. This week we are attuning to the energy of the full moon, and it won't be long before we're heading into the waning moon again. The last full moon peaked in the early hours of Saturday here on the West Coast. And as you may know, if you've been here for a while, if you've been listening and tuning in to these weekly cycle check-ins, the full moon is a time of illumination. The light of the full moon tends to shine a light on what is and what isn't in balance in our lives. And with that comes many opportunities. And today I want to focus on what could potentially be one of the most powerful opportunities. And that is the opportunity for change. Change is one of the only things in life that's truly guaranteed. And yet it's something that so many people fear or resist. The truth is, nothing lasts forever. In nature, all trees, plants, and animals eventually die. And they don't just end, they transform. Their remains decompose, but their energy remains. And eventually that energy becomes something new. We are no different. And as we move into the waning moon, the energy shifts too. This is the transition into fall when we're speaking of the seasons. Or if we're referring to the menstrual cycle, this is the shift from ovulation to premenstruum. It's moving from a more outward, expressive energy into something that is more inward and reflective. It's a gentle invitation to sit with what was illuminated under the full moon and to begin the process of change and transformation so that by the time the cycle begins again, you're ready to reborn in a new way, to be reborn in a new way. And to help bring this home, I'd like to offer a small example from my own life. This is an example that doesn't really have a lot of emotional charge, and it does have a little bit because it has created some tension and contentment in our household that could potentially turn into resentment. And so it felt like it was something to really pay attention to. This full moon landed in my 4th house, which is all about the home. And something that's been standing out to me lately is this little pattern that my husband and I have been stuck in. And side note, if you're wondering where this full moon has landed for you, in a couple of weeks, or maybe in a month or so, I'll be sharing a tool that has been really helpful for me that helps me to track these cycles even more closely and more specifically to my birth chart. So stay tuned for that episode. So back to this pattern, this cycle that I've been in with my husband for pretty much the whole summer. By Friday, we're both drained from the work week. We're craving rest, relaxation, and restoration, and very often the last thing that we want to do is clean the kitchen. And so the dishes pile up, and I'll be honest, we both don't like it, and yet all summer we've been repeating this same cycle. So this weekend we reflected on what wasn't working. Once we finally caught up on the dishes, we decided, or maybe I decided, that we would go back to what we used to do, which was rinse and load them right away. Run the dishwasher when it's full, unload it when it's done, and most importantly, do our best not to let them pile up. It's small, sure, what I often like to call a first world problem. And this change feels big because so often the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. And this change that we've decided to make has been something that came directly from something that was illuminated during the full moon. For one of my clients, the illumination looked different. She had this moment of deep clarity where she realized that everything that she had been through in the past year had brought her to this place of peace and contentment. In our session, we sat with that feeling, we celebrated it, and she left inspired to keep moving forward with the changes she's been making because they're working. So many of us fear change because it brings the unknown, and the brain loves to know. And when we don't know, especially when we have trauma, the brain can feel unsettled, restless, and anxious. But here's the truth. We never really know. Even when our minds create stories about what might happen, they're still just stories. And often the only thing that will really tell is time. So often we just have to wait and see what actually happens because we don't really know what's going to happen. And this may not be what your anxious and unsettled and restless parts may want to hear. And that's okay. That makes so much sense because as I just named, the brain loves to know. What's helped me most with this is learning to trust. Trusting in the process of life, trusting in the cycles, and trusting in the change. And I'll be honest, trust is not something that I mastered overnight. It's been a daily practice that I have to commit to again and again and again and again. And if this is something that you feel like you might need support with over the next week or so, I've left some free somatic meditations for you in the show notes. And before I go, I want to invite you to join us for the upcoming Mending the Mother Wound Weekend Immersion. This is a free 3-day live event happening August 22nd to August 24th. This weekend also falls under the new moon, making it a beautiful time to slow down, to nurture ourselves, and to tend to the deepest, earliest wounds from childhood. Recordings will not be available, so be sure to block off your calendar and join us live. You can find the link to register in the show notes, as well as the link for this week's somatic meditations. Thanks so much for making it till the end of today's episode. Before you go, if this episode spoke to your heart, moved something in you, or offered a moment of clarity, or perhaps helped you to feel even just a little bit more seen or heard or understood, I invite you to please share this episode with a friend. Together, we create space for the feminine frequency to rise, not just in us as individuals, but in our families, in our communities, and ultimately in our collective. And this is how we do it, by sharing one story at a time, by having one conversation at a time, by taking one small step at a time. And if you're wanting to support the podcast even more, it truly helps to leave a 5-star rating and review. Your words help other women find this space, feel seen, and know that they're not alone on their healing journeys. As a thank you, when you leave a review, take a screenshot and email it to me at riva@windsofchangesac.com. I'll give you a free registration to our online trauma-informed breathwork circle for women held on Zoom every third Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a powerful space for release, restoration, and real connection. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for helping this work ripple outward. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Fighting for the voice of the womb, clearing the pain from your womb, creating new life from your womb, rebuilding with the phases of the moon.